prescribing in Vision. This is all done in the therapy tab, and as I've said before, you've got all of your repeat items, things that the patient's on repeat, and then you've got the scripts tab within therapy, and that's essentially for showing you everything that they've had on as an acute prescription, but it also shows you how many, the repeat issues, the repeats that have been prescribed as well. If they've had something prescribed already and you just want to prescribe that to them again, it's actually really easy. You just press and hold and then select another, and it brings up your prescribing box. And then if you just want to, you can edit it if you like, or you can just click OK. This patient's actually allergic to penicillin, so obviously in real life you wouldn't do that, but let's just go for it anyway, because this is a fake, the dummy patient. And then that's it prescribed there, and then if you want to print it out, you just, and don't ask me why, you just do this, you just press F9 twice, and that then should prescribe that. If you want to prescribe something that's already on repeat, you just simply select the ones that they want, and then you press, wait for that to print, you select the ones that you want, and then you press F9 twice again to print those. Any acute prescriptions that you have sitting will also be printed at that time as well. So let's say you're giving them amoxicillin for a chest infection and they've also run out of some of their repeats, then you just prescribe their amoxicillin and then select these F9 twice, and it'll print them all out at once, which is quite convenient. If you haven't had the fortune of having the thing prescribed already, then you have to do it manually. So if it's an acute prescription, then you want to be in the scripts tab. If you want to add something to repeat, then you want to be in the repeats tab. So let's just prescribe some amoxicillin manually. And again, a bit like journal for documenting, you just simply start typing. So amox, hit enter, and it usually finds the right thing for you, and it helpfully automatically populates a lot of the bits. If it selects the wrong thing, you can double click on here or press F3 and it brings up alternatives. So if it's a child, for example, and you want to give the suspension, it automatically selects, shows you everything that's within the formulary. But if you want to go off-piste and not use the formulary, which I would not recommend, you can deselect that tick box and then it'll show you more things. But in general, 99% of your prescribing should be on formulary, and then you just double click or whatever, and then so this one you have to free text. If you want to find what boxes and bottles it comes in, you just click on pack information and it tells you there, and then you can just type in 5 mils 3 times a day or whatever, and then you just click OK, and that will then appear there. If you want to if you want to do a delayed script, you just change the date here, and if you want to add messages for the pharmacist, to the patient or the pharmacy team, then you just add them there and they will appear on the right hand side of the prescription for the pharmacy or the patient to see, and then you just click OK and then F9 twice, and that will print. If you want to add something to repeat, you go into the repeats bit, and then you just do the same again essentially. So let's say we want to add amoxicillin to repeats because they've got, I don't know, cystic fibrosis or something and they need antibiotics all the time. You do that, but then the only difference here is that you get this extra repeats box here, and that just basically asks you how many times are they allowed to get this repeat. In general, if it's something, amoxicillin isn't a good example, so let's do something else. Let's do amlodipine or whatever for blood pressure, which I've spelt incorrectly, amlodipine. So in general, so it's something that you're taking every day. In general, you want them to be taking 2 months at a time, and you can see the pack sizes there. And then in general, you want to do for a year or 2 years, depending on how high risk the medication is. So for amlodipine that is low risk and doesn't really need monitored, we give that 2 years. So that would be 12, yeah, two months at a time, 12 reissues. So that's 2 years, and then you click OK. Ignore all the warning boxes, and then it'll come up there. If it's something like painkillers or whatever, and you want to make sure that they aren't getting too many, you can put obviously select repeat. Then you put you can use the days between issues, so you can do minimum. So to make sure they aren't abusing, an opiate or whatever, you can, if you put a month at a time or whatever, you can put 21 days, so that if they order this too early, the computer won't allow that to be done, if that makes sense. Another helpful tip is that if something's been given already, that's not it. If something's been given already as an acute that you want to add to a repeat, you can just press and hold it and select repeat, and you can then add that as a repeat. For example, much in the same way as you can just, and then that'll appear there, much in the same way that you can continually do new ones from an old prescription. In that way, you can do it the same way, but with repeats. If you want to remove things from repeats, you just simply select whatever you want to get rid of, and then click the X item and remove those. Once they have used all of the repeats, so here you can see how many repeats they're allowed in total, and then here you can see how many of those that they've had. Once they have reached their number of repeats that they're allowed, this bit becomes blank. I think this is supposed to be like an old school prescribing pad, and once you've used all the prescriptions, it's blank. You can no longer prescribe that. The patient can't get that any longer, so it needs reauthorized or stopped, depending on what you feel is more appropriate. So if you did want to reauthorize this, you just simply click on it and then click reauthorize here, and then you're basically just prescribing it again. So for example, if it was a blood pressure medication that had run out, you'd want to go to journal, make sure they've had a review of their blood pressure within the past year or two, and if they haven't, well, then you want to get in touch with reception and get them to book in for that, or if they have, well, then you just reauthorize it, like so. What else do you need to know? Oh yes, when you first open the prescribing tab, if you're a new user, you might be presented with a whole load of nonsense like this that's distracting. So to get this shows all of the repeats that they've ever had. So what you probably want to do is click this button here for filter inactive repeats, and that just gets rid of those for you. And once you've done that, that actually saves indefinitely, so you don't have to worry about that any longer. And I think that is it.